got Titan blood running through our veins. Get loud, put your hands up, let the whole world hear this sound.
What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Cass here, along with Valente, and we are back for another Top 10 Prospects, where this time we will be looking at the wide receiver position, as this is a class that's not as deep as we've seen over the last couple of years. But there are some very good players in this, and some players that could be superstars. So let's go, and I'll start off doing number 10, and we'll go one by one all the way through. So first off, we have decided to rank A.T. Perry at number 10. He's 6'5". His size causes him to excel in contested catch situations. He excels with the ball in his hand and is a great receiver after the catch as well. Has super strong hands too, can high point the football, has learned to really grab the ball with his hands. Used to be a very much catch the ball with your chest type of guy. But in situations, you need to have very strong hands to compete in the National Football League. And in a 6'5" frame, you're going to be able to almost out jump everybody in the league. Not just at the corner position, just in general. So NFL comp is another guy that was a big frame guy in Malcolm Floyd, former receiver for the San Diego Chargers. So,
all right, at number 9, we have Xavier Hutchinson from Iowa State. Excuse me. He's 6'3", 207, great against press coverage, a catch and run threat, a great runner after the catch. He has a very good deep route tree in his NFL comparison. The one, the only, the one Cass hates, A.J. Brown.
now we go with a college that has kind of pumped out a couple of decent receivers over the last couple of drafts. We go with SMU's Rashee Rice. 6 foot, 200 pounds. He excels as a slot receiver. Probably will be a slot receiver in the NFL. Is a short route expert. Has tall frames and long arms. And that compares 100% for me with Sterling Shepard of the New York Giants.
Solid. Up next, we got Cedric Tillman out of Tennessee. We got 6'3", 215. He's got a great ball tracking through the air. He's a possession catcher. A lot of that we don't see anymore in the drafts. Like see guys that are great after the catch. This guy is your guy if you want a quick pass to get down. A 2-minute drill situation. He's probably great with that. He's a strong runner with the ball as well. So I guess kind of backtracks what I said, but and his info comp is Anquan Bolden.
Hey, I struggled with this NFL comparison. Another guy that, and this is kind of a thing for Valente. I'm pretty sure when he was reading it, he could tell. But I very much struggled with this NFL comparison because there's a guy in the league that compares a lot with Cedric Tillman, and that's the New Orleans Saints receiver Michael Thomas. But I feel like Anquan had the abilities that, say, for example, an MT has, but Anquan excelled as a runner after the catch as well. Could track the ball, was a possession receiver, but also was able to use his run after catch ability, and really became synonymous with being able to be that possession receiver, but also when they needed a runner with the ball, Anquan was that guy. I feel like Cedric could be that guy for a team. Also reminds me of a former receiver for the Miami Dolphins in Preston Williams. Very similar athlete with Cedric Tillman. Now, we're going to go with Zay Flowers out of the University of Boston College. 5'9", 182, small slot receiver with speed, more your typical wide receiver prospect that we're seeing more in these days. Is a deep ball exceller, excels down the field and excels in screens. And that really is what propelled Ted Ginn Jr. in his NFL career, and was really synonymous with that Panthers run into the Super Bowl with Ted Ginn's ability to stretch the field and the ability to be a threat, catching the ball and then running downfield. And I think that shows a lot of what Zay can offer in the NFL. from Boston College.
Number 5, we got Josh Downs from UNC. He's 5'10", 175. He's a strong vertical jumper, and he was great on special teams in North Carolina. In my opinion, he's probably one of the most consistent guys in the draft. Like I said last video, I'm a ACC fan, so I kind of pay attention to these guys. He's a great red zone threat, and his NFL comparison is Curtis Samuel. But me personally, I would say he's more of an Olave minus the special teams. The special team superstar, he is that, but with the strong vertical jumper and the height and weight, I would say he's more of an Olave. But Curtis Samuel is also a great example.
I think that his ability as a red zone threat, you wouldn't think because of his size. When you think of a red zone threat, you think more of a big body target receiver like, for example, we were just talking about Cedric Tillman. Cedric Tillman would be your more typical type of red zone target, kind of like a Mike Williams, kind of like a guy we'll get later on in the same list, Quentin Johnston. Josh Downs plays that role exceptionally well and did at UNC. And I'm kind of interested to see how that'll transfer over to the league because he's a smaller receiver but with a phenomenal red zone threat and really gave ACC defenses fits in the red zone as well. So now we're going to get into Jalen Hyatt. Probably will be the fastest receiver running at the draft, probably. 6 foot, 180, is a absolute speed demon, and has really, really good hands as well. Is a good catcher to run threat, like we said, more of the typical type of receiver you're seeing nowadays, which is why it's being mentioned a lot on this list, and which is why I'm comparing him to Deshaun Jackson. Deshaun Jackson was way before his time. One of the receivers that really patented the run after catch style early on in his NFL career coming out of California. So I really see a lot of Deshaun Jackson and Jalen Hyatt. I think Hyatt will be probably whatever team he goes for because he's going to go late first round. Late first round, early second round, maybe. It depends on how many people buy into receiver and also how well he performs at the combine. But if a good team with good receivers take him, Jalen Hyatt is going to be an absolute demon on kickoff returns, punt returns for this next upcoming season. And I could very much see him making his way to kind of like a Tyreek Hill role early on in Kansas City in his first year.
Yeah, see, one thing that scares me about that is that you could easily be a John Ross, but you could also be a Tyreek Hill, in terms of success. That's the one thing that scares me with this week's guys. Anyway, at number 3, we got JSN. I'm not going to say his name because I'm not going to risk getting canceled. In my opinion, I feel like he'd be higher on this list if his season this year wasn't, I guess you could say, cut short or lack of production. I don't really watch Ohio State like that. But from what I got, he's 6'1", 200 with great hands. He's, in my opinion, one of the best route runners in the class, besides Jordan Addison. He's a great blocker for his size. Well, I wouldn't say his size is small, but weight-wise, he's a great blocker. NFL comparison, Corey Davis. I agree with that.
Corey would be a guy that you would see around the same size as JSN and excels as a really good blocker. So that fit the comparison, in my opinion. Now, this is where we're going to probably get a little bit of questions, and we might even get some comments about this. We don't think that I personally made this one. I don't think that Quintez Johnston is the best receiver in this class. He stands at 6'4", 215, has a powerful downfield wide receiver, has a great combo of speed and size, has great straight speed down the field, but there's a lot of miscues there. You saw how good he was early on especially in the Michigan game, excelled in the Michigan game, and showed that he could be a good receiver as well in the Georgia game. or I might be thinking of the Michigan game where he caught the slant. I can't remember. He caught a slant, scored a touchdown. I do believe that is the Michigan game. Yeah. So, looking at that, Quintez seems to be a guy that really wants to take plays off sometimes from the way it looks on the tape. Like sometimes you'll see a play that really blows you away, and then another time you'll see a play where he doesn't blow you away. And I think if you're going to be a number one receiver in a class and risk a top 15 pick is where a number one receiver in a class goes normally, then you need to justify and fly off the video screen. Quintez Johnson doesn't do that every play. In my opinion, who does that every time he's on the field at USC was Jordan Addison. And I'm going to let Valente go ahead with Jordan Addison.
Yeah, so 6 foot 175, best route run in the class, like I said when I'm talking about JSN. Great ball location in the air, elite change of direction. He's kind of like Darius Toney in the sense of change of direction.
Very much.
That's kind of the vibe I got from that. And NFL comparison, Chris Godwin.
I feel like he will very much more be a slot receiver, more typical to Chris Godwin. The Kadarius Toney thing, though, I wasn't thinking about when I made the slide, but the Kadarius Toney comparison actually isn't bad either. So I would actually not be totally angry if somebody would say they more see him as a Kadarius Toney than a Chris Godwin. But I think he's the best runner in the class. But I will say this, going back to Quentin Johnston, I think he can be the best receiver in the class. If he goes to a team with a good wide receiver coach, good offensive coordinator that can develop him, because let's be honest, 6'4", 215, and it's the same thing with A.T. Perry. If somebody can develop them to understand the receiver position in the NFL, you can't teach size. So that's one thing they've got going for them, and a lot of teams will take chances on guys like that. I mentioned Preston Williams previously in this video, and that's a guy that got a lot of opportunities because of his 6'5" frame. And you see, opportunities come when guys believe that they can develop a guy to become a player or at least participant on their squad. When you see 6'4" or 6'5" at receiver position in the NFL nowadays, those guys are going to get more opportunities because there's less of them coming into the league nowadays. But anyway.
Yep. One thing I gotta say though is that a lot of people might get confused the NFL comparison side of stuff. Like for example, like you could compare Jordan Addison to Chris Godwin, or like last video we compared, or JSN with Corey Davis, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense. Or with who did we NFL comp was Alex Collins. Who was I can't remember.
I want to say Sean Tucker, but I don't think that's right.
I don't think it is either. But here,
if I pull up
might get confused. Viewers might get confused, but when we say NFL comparison, we're talking about the way they play the game.
Yes. Not what they.
Not their floor, their limitations. We're not talking
their
about
pure style.
Their style.
Because Alex Collins was a very high-touted recruit coming out of college, and people really thought he would excel in the NFL. And just whether your opinion is that he hasn't excelled because of lack of reps in Baltimore, which is a fair statement to say, or he hasn't excelled because of a bigger frame, maybe he's slowed down since he joined the league. All of those are fair statements, but that doesn't under-justify his style that he had coming into the league, which is where I use a lot to compare with how we go based on style, not off how their career turned out.
Right.
Which is why
also with JSN, he his NFL comp is Corey Davis based off the way that Corey Davis plays and the way that Jackson plays. It's not based off of what we think his limitation is, his ceiling or floor.
Like, for example,
it's based off of the style they play.
For example, in the last video, we said that Tank Bigsby's comparison was Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb's one of the better backs in the NFL. That's not saying that. Tank is going to be one of the best running backs in the league. That's saying that they have a very similar style, as well as it was the running back from Pitt, but let's say that we named
Israel.
Yeah, Israel was the one that was comparable to Alex Collins. Had a big back play style.
Yeah.
So I hope this is clear to everything as far as like our NFL comparisons. Now, guys, I don't know. Me and Valencia are gonna have to talk about this off camera, and maybe get a little bit of comment section questions going, because I know y'all might want to see this as well. I doubt that we're definitely gonna review some defensive positions, but I doubt that we look at offensive line unless there's like a big niche for it. If there's a big niche for it, we'll do it, of course, but I doubt that there will be, so I doubt that y'all see that. Because I don't feel like really sitting down and studying some offensive line tape. I don't know if that doesn't seem like something that's very much entertaining for me to do. Where on the other side,
I mean, there's really only like two things that you could say about them. Like, they're fast and shifty, and they're good blockers. You know what I mean? It's kind of hard to really. Where on the other hand, you get like players like defensive, like edge rushers. That's much more different to talk about. There's very different positions. You can have a 4-3 edge rusher, a nose rusher, a 3-4 edge rusher. There's different variations that you can take, very much similar to wide receivers, quarterbacks, running backs, all that. Now, Yeah.
I don't know if we'll be able to do a top 10 for tight ends. So any position where I don't know if there's going to be a top 10 prospect list, we're going to do a top 5 prospect list. And I think tight ends might get a top 5 prospect list, because there's not, in my opinion, 10 tight ends that you would consider taking in the draft. These are all guys that I think will be gone by the conclusion of the draft, in my opinion.
I imagine.
So anyway, thank y'all guys for watching. Remember to like and subscribe. But above all else, I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. This has been your boy Cass, that's Full and Tay. And we'll see you guys in the next video. We might have a special guest for you guys in the next video, because the next video is going to be top 10 quarterbacks. Hope you guys enjoy. Bye, guys.
Tell them boys to tighten up, tighten up.
Let me hear you say it.
Whole city getting hype now. Tell them boys to tighten up, tighten up.
Let me hear you say it.
Need